Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. How important is the quality of life for you and your children? Or maybe your freedom? Or maybe the ability, especially if you're parents, to raise your child in an environment where they can retain their innocence a little bit longer? How important is traditional values to you? How important is it to live in a place where you have a better sense of security, that you feel safer because you know that you are, that you're not living in a place that there's crime ridden or that it may get so bad that you may have to run away from it? These are questions that you should be asking, and more. Questions like this. Because the things that's going on in the world, especially here in the country, here in the United States, they're getting worse. And we should be asking these questions about where you live. Is it the best place for you? Even if you have to make some sacrifices to put you and your family in a better place to live and to live out your lives. Before we get started, I just want to mention I have a Patreon channel. If you are interested, there's no pressure. You do not have to join at all. You're still welcome to be part of the family here on YouTube, but I put extra content over there. I also post any type of like real estate listings that I find that kind of would look like a good homestead place or good value for people that might want to be moving here. I post that kind of stuff over there. There's a link in the description below to join my Patreon. It's only $1 a month. And it gets you access to almost everything that I post over there. And like I said, it's no pressure. I'll still be posting stuff over here. But if you want more content, especially that's more personal content, and that's usually what I put out, you can go over there to my Patreon channel. So my wife and I, we've been talking about this. And then, obviously the things that are going on in the world, of how important it is for us, how important it's been for us to live in a place that it's not perfect. No place is. I mean, nothing is perfect. We know that here on this earth. But we live in a place that we don't have to worry about so many things that a lot of people in this country today are faced with and worry about and fear in their daily lives. Because of just everything that's going on, increased violence, intrusive government, laws that are just, being passed left and right that are just trampling on our rights. And really, in a lot of ways, most importantly, this radical shift of just culture and traditional values that are being completely abandoned. And this new progressive way is being just shoved down people's throats. And where we're at here in the Missouri Ozarks, I think it's the best. That's just my personal opinion. I understand there are other really great places, but for us, it's the best. And we love that we can raise our children here, and we don't really have to worry about a lot of the things that a lot of people worry about. We were talking, our two youngest, we have 8-year-old twins, and I don't think they even know what the health crisis, I'm not going to use the word health crisis, really is. The next oldest, he'll be turning 13 soon, and he does kind of have an idea, but they've not experienced at all what a lot of people have experienced, where there's been restrictions on them. In fact, this entire time that it's been going on, there's only been one time that they've had to put the little mask on their face, and it was for a very short period, just for a few minutes. We had to go into a bigger city, a family birthday party that was being held at a community room, and we were required to wear it going into the building. But once we got into the room that was booked, we were, they were allowed to take it off. So that was the only time that they've even experienced that. They really just, they have no concept of what's going on. They don't see the violence. They don't see the stuff that's going on in a daily life, and they don't see this repugnant, vulgar stuff that's going on the internet and on TV and stuff, because they don't have access to that kind of stuff either. And so in the conversations my wife and I have been having about how we're so blessed to be living like this, we understand that there's been some sacrifices we've had to make. I don't show it because it's private and it's kind of our family business, but where we live, it's nothing, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's a small home. It's a very small home, and we had to downsize significantly, and we have plans of little by little building on and making it bigger, but we have, it's fairly small space, fairly cramped space that we live in. We don't have super fast, high-speed internet where we can just, watch whatever we want and get online and do anything we want, and big screen TVs and all that kind of stuff. Partly because of the money, and partly because, that kind of service is just not available out here. And I know those are very minor things, but there are things that we give up. We don't get to go out to eat all the time, and we don't go to fancy restaurants. Fancy restaurants don't exist around here. I could go on and on about little things that we kind of gave up along the way, and moving and living like this. And even though some people might look at it as a sacrifice, we don't. We look at it that we have improved the quality of life for our children. We've improved the world that they live in, our little world that they live in, by keeping them away from the big cities, keeping them away from the garbage that's going on out there. And so the question that I'm really kind of getting to, or the statement, however you want to phrase it, is where you're at really the best place for you to be? A big thing in the prepper community is bugging out. And I rarely ever talk about it. I don't think I've ever shown like a bug out bag or anything like that. And it's not because I think it's silly to have some type of, emergency bag or something. Of course we have those kind of things around the house. We usually keep something in the car in case something happens when we're out and about or on a trip or something. But my opinion is, if you are not living in the place that you would bug out to right now, then you're kind of doing it wrong. And I'm not here to criticize those of you that don't live in a place like that, or maybe you think that you can't. But I'm telling you, your level of safety and your level of being able to survive, your survivability level, greatly increases when you live at your bug out location. So just from a preparedness standpoint alone, living out like this is a much better way to live. And I understand that many of you find yourself in a place that you're like, I just can't do it. I've got a job here, we've got a mortgage, we've got family around, I just don't know how to do it. I don't know how we could break away from all this and trying to sell and move and buy a place, and stuff's so expensive. And it is. Land in a lot of places is expensive, and even around here it's gone up a little bit over the past year and a half or so, but it's still quite affordable. You can still find a small piece of acreage with a little house on it for, $50,000 sometimes if you're lucky, certainly under $100,000. And that's something that you couldn't find in a lot of places around the country. So it's still available, but you may have to make a sacrifice to get to it and to live there. And I think you just have to ask yourself, what are the most important things in your life? Is it most important for you to provide your children a really nice home with nice conveniences, modern amenities? Or is it more important for you to provide your children with a place that they can thrive? They can grow and thrive and be safe and secure from all the evils that are going on in this world. And that's where we have kind of taken our focus. Our children, they can come inside in the air conditioning, and we do have a TV. We only watch things that are on video. But that's not something we do a lot. We don't even allow it a lot. We encourage them to be outside, and they love that. They want to be outside. They enjoy where we live and the things that they can do outside, and so they really thrive. And the people that family members and stuff, they've commented for a long time of how different the children are, how they have improved over the time of being out like this. And I'm telling you, folks, I understand. I do. I really understand where some of you are at, that you may think that you just can't get out like this. But I'm telling you, the way things are going, you really need to be in a place like this now and not wait until it gets to that emergency, oh my goodness, it's hit the fan, we got to leave. Because no matter how well you plan out a bug out, there's always a lot of chance for it to go wrong. There's so much probability of things just not happening. Just think back last year when all the shutdowns came in very rapidly. There were cities in this nation that overnight, without hardly any warning, were requiring law enforcement officers to make traffic stops on people because everyone was supposed to be locked down, and you had to prove where you were going and what you were doing. If you were going to work, if you were an essential worker or something like that, you had to prove that you were going and doing that kind of business. And if you weren't, well, then you weren't allowed to be out running around. That kind of stuff can happen pretty quickly. I think a lot of people think that, over the period of days and weeks and months, as things start to get worse and it starts to heat up, I'll have enough time to plan to get out. That's usually not how it works. And on top of something like that, the increase of violence, the things that are happening, even in medium-sized cities nowadays, is just going through the roof. And then on top of all of that, for me as a father, one of the most important things is the garbage. I'm going to use that word because it's probably one of the most polite words that I could choose to use. The garbage that's being force-fed to children today, to youth today. And knowing that my kids, my family, doesn't have to be part of that. That we can kind of, in a way, secede, to use an unpopular term, from that culture. And we find ourselves in a place that we can kind of develop our own culture, our own ways, and choose who we're around, and not have to worry about our children seeing things on a daily basis that we would rather them not see and hear. For instance, here in our state of Missouri, they've recently been passing some really good laws. Of course, we have really great firearms laws. Our Second Amendment laws are really good comparatively. I really wish there were none, but compared to the rest of the nation and other states, we have a really good. We have constitutional carry. The governor just recently signed the Second Amendment Protection Act. And this isn't my words, but I have read from a few articles that it's considered now to be the strongest piece of Second Amendment legislation in the United States, which basically it's nullifying any unconstitutional federal firearms laws. And so if you live in a state that, eventually some type of, magazine or assault weapons ban or some type of draconian legislation comes from the federal government, which the things that are going on there, it wouldn't surprise me. Living in a state that at least so far claims that they will protect your Second Amendment rights is very important. Our state never went through any kind of lockdown, where there was never any kind of mandated lockdown in our state. Some states brag about, releasing the lockdown and the mandates early. Well, we just never had them here. Missouri is an excellent state when it comes to homeschooling, which is what we do with our children. Very free in that way. They really don't bother you at all. A lot of things, land prices, the ability to build your own home the way you see fit in most of the state that's how it is. You can build it however you want. There's no codes, there's no laws on what you live in and how you build it. This creates, to put it like it was once said by someone else, that freedom is a very dangerous thing. It's an animating contest. It can be dangerous if you don't know how to handle it. Certitude is very safe. You don't have to worry about things because the government tells you how to live and you just follow the rules and that's it. So freedom, yes, it has a a way of being a little bit on the dangerous side. But in the end, if you do the right thing with your freedom, you can live a very enjoyable life. And so, I'm not saying we are the most free, but we're certainly one of the best. And we don't get bothered very much. We don't get bothered here at all. And considering all the stuff that's going on when it comes to more intrusive government, living in a state that, at least on some level, still acknowledges the individual and the rights of the individual is a good thing, and it's nice. And so if you find yourself living in a state that may not be that, they may not like freedom that much, what are you going to do one day when all these laws start coming down, and then you're stuck in a place where you're either going to be a criminal or you have to fall in line and obey the rules. And so living in a state that we hope, the way things are going, that we don't have to worry as much about that kind of stuff. And so the point is that, are you living in the best place that you can live? I think that we all really need to be assessing that. As preppers and as homesteaders, can you be self-sufficient where you're at? Can you provide your family a safe and secure environment, not just physically secure, but morally secure, mentally secure and safe, spiritually secure and safe? Are you living in an area where you can meet other like-minded individuals? Are you living in an area where you can live your life the way that you see fit, the way that your faith has led you to live? And if you can't answer yes to those questions, any of those questions, I would strongly consider you rethinking about where you live. A lot of times we have so many attachments to where we live. I live here because I love this house. I live here because I've got this job. I live here because I've got family in this state or in this area. But I think in the end, we have to ask ourselves, especially as parents, for those of you out there that are parents, and as just individuals and couples, what is the best place for you? What is the best place for your family? What is the safest environment for your family? And if where you're at is not the best and the safest, I would strongly suggest you start making plans, start getting very serious about figuring out where you should be living and how you're going to get there. Because if you wait until it goes, there's a real good chance it's too late at that point to start making decisions. So again, I'm not trying to be critical of anyone that doesn't live out like this, or that lives in a big city or in a very liberal state. I'm trying not to be critical of you, but I'm telling you, if you want to live this life, if you want to be truly safe and secure and free, the best way to do that really is to just live in a place where it's okay to be safe, secure, and free. And stop trying to fight the system where you're at, because I think we're at a point that fighting, if you live in a very liberal state, fighting that system just may not be the battle that you're able to win anymore. All right, folks, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.